residents in the city. They had been shutting off water for years, but nowhere on this scale.
Welcome, beloved community. Welcome back to another edition of the People's Water Board Coalition, Water Wednesday. We are here today with a friend and a fellow water warrior, a musician, and the founder of the Clean Water Campaign, Seth Bernard. Welcome.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here with you.
I'm so glad that you decided to come on the show last minute. There is, all over Michigan, people are talking about data centers. I mean, they are being pushed on us from everywhere, from all kinds of different corporations and companies, from Google to Amazon to Microsoft. Everybody wants to, and of course DTE wants to push for one too, and it's really good for them. Data centers use a lot of energy, so it's really great for them. And so they're pushing for one. So I was really great and happy that that you're spending time with us this morning. And today's a big day, so let's jump right into it. Can you tell our viewers why people all over Michigan are protesting the centers? Let's get to the nuts and bolts of it. What are people worried about, and all of that?
Yeah, well, this is a huge issue all over the world right now. And I serve on the Water Equity and Climate Resilience Caucus with many fabulous water protectors from Detroit, like Sister Monica Lewis-Patrick and We the People. And so every year we all get together at the biggest conference about water, the One Water Summit. And this year it was in July in Pittsburgh. And the big looming issue that everyone was focused on was data centers, data, tomato, let's call the whole thing off. This is a massive power grab. And so we've got about 1,240 some data centers all across the United States already. They started coming in many decades ago, very small scale, relatively small power and water use compared to these new data centers, which are colossal. They're massive, hyperscale, and they're all for AI.
Yeah.
So people are concerned, and they are also fired up across the entire political spectrum. And I live in Kalkaska County, and we had one proposed up there. A massive hyperscale operation was proposed on 1,400 acres of public land. And so you saw constitutional conservatives and libertarians organizing against tyranny. They don't trust big tech. They don't trust these industries with their children's future. They know that they're coming after every second. Right. Exactly. They're coming after our jobs and our land and our water. And the returns that have been promised to communities around the country, they're empty promises. And they've been not just,
they're like
minimal.
It's not like it
and
takes
really,
a whole bunch of employees to run these and lots of jobs are going to be created. None of that.
Exactly. So basically, we're being asked to subsidize, through rate increases, average rate increase of 46% in the communities where these hyperscale data centers are coming in.
46%.
Yeah, and even in the best case scenario, the most evolved closed loop systems that they're using now, and this is classic greenwashing, closed loop system is still contaminating millions of gallons of water a week. And so we're talking about permanent contamination of aquifers and of drinking water. And then the people who live around these data centers are exposed to constant noise pollution and light pollution and air pollution. There's all of these health issues that are just rising in communities like Memphis, where Elon Musk's massive data center has come in.
Yeah, people really stood up and are fighting that. That's
yes,
really fighting it.
Huge. So there's really a reason for everybody to not like this, no matter where they fall on the political spectrum. It doesn't benefit working class communities. We're being asked to sort of subsidize an industry that is coming after our way of life and our
That's right.
livelihoods. And so it's a parasite that's come in. It's a parasite on human culture. As a musician, I'm being asked to sort of give my music to Spotify so that they can give it to AI models, and
Right.
nobody's being compensated for this, you know?
Right.
I mean, Morgan Freeman came out last week saying, "Hey, I actually make a living as a voice actor." And
Right.
nobody asked
You
me if
can't
they can
use my
use my voice.
voice. Right. You, that's not.
Yeah,
I'm not giving you permission to use my voice in
yeah.
AI production. Like that's not okay.
And
Um,
then you get into the transhumanist agenda, which is basically an agenda to digitally augment human beings and to
yeah.
sort of coerce us into a future where you're going to be left behind if you don't become digitally enhanced. And it's like
Right.
nobody's asking for this. And
No.
it
No.
is a it's a deep offense to people of faith, and so faith communities are coming together around this opposition of the big tech agenda, and of obviously water is sacred across every faith
It is.
community.
It is.
Yeah,
It's water's the one thing that across the aisle, across all, it doesn't matter everything else that folks can't agree on. They can agree that they need safe, affordable water. That their water has to be, it can't be contaminated. That it has to be safe for people to drink. And that's when we see that with the Line 5 fight, like people all across Michigan, saying, "Hey, we
yeah,
don't want that." Water is the one thing that really connects us all that nobody
exactly.
has any argument of of people needing it and of
Mhm.
of all the different things that water does for us, the gift that the earth gives us, right? And
Yes,
when we talk about water, like they get their water for free, but people all over Michigan, right, are getting their water shut off as we speak.
yes,
It's an epidemic all over Michigan when where it's a public health crisis, right, all over Michigan, where people are getting their water shut off. They can't afford it, but these big tech companies and bottled water companies, all these other companies, right, the corporations, they get it for free. They're able
yeah,
to pump Michigan's water, empty aquifers, and that's what these data centers are going to do. People
yeah.
know that. That's why it's no wonder that they're standing up, and they it's
Mhm.
and thank goodness for it because it's working, right? We're seeing it in
Yeah.
places where it's working, right?
Mhm. Yes, yep. People are they're not willing to lose on this. There's too much
That's
at
right.
stake.
That's right.
And so communities are finding different ways to oppose it. They're finding ways to organize across traditional lines where we didn't organize with certain people around certain issues. I mean,
Yeah.
this is everything is wide open now.
Yeah.
And I think it's a really healthy, it's a healing thing for communities, honestly.
Yeah.
I
It's
experienced
good
that
for
in
us to come
Kalkaska
together.
County. It is. It's really good for us and healthy for us. And we sort of let go of some of these ways that obviously we have been manipulated into focusing on fighting with other working class people while the wealth and power continues to go up out of our
That's right.
communities. And so we've been gutted and we've been promised a brighter future from these boom and bust industries. And we recognize that they're not the solution to our economic problems, they're the cause of our economic problems. These big
That's right.
corporations who come into our communities and they find our wishing well and they suck every drop dry, as May
Yeah.
Earlywine said. And so if
Yeah.
it's, mining in the UP or fracking up in Northwest Lower Peninsula, the auto industry in Southeast Michigan, um, we have thrived despite boom and bust. And now
That's
it's
right.
being presented to us as the new solution. It's being presented to us as inevitable. And
Yeah.
it all comes back to people power. It's like, wait,
That's right.
this this is where the power comes from. It comes from the ground up. The resistance comes from the ground up.
Yeah. We're all in this together. That's right. And it's
Yeah,
our duty as Michiganders
it
and
is.
humans to protect the water and to
Yeah.
make sure that everybody has access to it and that it's safe. Um,
Mhm.
I talk about coming together. There's a protest today at
Mhm.
DTE, and there's people have been protesting in Saline like all week long. I saw
Yeah,
some amazing footage of you giving a speech. Kind of really bringing the human aspect of it. That don't bring. We're gonna bring homemade cookies, right? we're gonna show up as a community and do these, and make sure that big tech knows that we know we're in this together. And there's
yeah.
also an MPSC hearing today.
Mhm.
Do you want to talk about the what folks are hoping for from the protest and the hearing, and what's the kind of worst case scenario that people are looking at? What's on people's minds here? What are we hoping for?
So DTE is a publicly regulated utility, or at least it's supposed to be. And as you know, DTE has outsized influence in Lansing politics as
Whew.
the number one campaign contributor.
Yeah.
We have some really good folks working on a ballot initiative for the upcoming year called Mop Up Michigan, which would take the money out of politics, MOP, and it would eliminate DTE consumers and Blue Cross having this outsized influence. But for the time being,
Yeah.
DTE is quite powerful, and the last line of defense that the people have is the Michigan Public Service Commission.
Yeah.
And um, Michigan Public Service Commission is supposed to act on behalf of the people to regulate this massive utility. And so uh, people are protesting at DTE headquarters this afternoon, and then there is a public comment, online public comment that people can join at 6:30 to 8:30. And it's on the Michigan Public Service Commission's website. There's a Microsoft Teams link, and there's also a phone number.
We're going to put
And
all that in the description box below so folks can
great,
just go right to it. And,
fantastic.
and plug right in, and we're hoping you're going to see me there, folks.
Fantastic. Me
Please,
too.
please come, and you'll and show up to the virtual hearing, and go to DTE to their headquarters today, and show up with the people in the streets. March. Let's march together and show unity. We have to.
Yes, we have
That's
to.
a
And so,
Yeah.
yeah, it is required of us. It's required of us to opt in. And I
That's
know
right.
that people are busy. We're stretched like never before
It's
to
cold.
just make ends meet. It's
Yep.
cold. Um, but I always try to incentivize opting in, especially if you're right on the edge. Like, well, might not make this one. This is really important for people to opt in, and you're going to find your people when you opt in. You're going to find the people that
That's
are
right.
creating the future that we believe in, that we can get behind. And so it's always a benefit when we opt in. It's always a positive for our quality of life and for our hearts and our
That's
souls
right.
when we opt in instead of opt out. And it makes it easier to live with yourself, regardless of what the outcomes are. And I know for me, I mean, I learned from so many mentors that you have to give all of yourself, full commitment, and you have to kind of manage your expectations so that you can continue to stay in it month after month, year after year, decade after decade. And so we don't win them all, but we do win when we come together and when we opt in and when we refuse to lose. And this is one of those kinds of battles where, the battlefield is really the human mind and the human spirit and our bodies and our children's attention. And when they're mobilizing these chatbots to manipulate our children,
Yeah.
we need to opt in and to sort of say, no, we're not gonna allow ourselves to be extracted from. We're not going to subsidize the wealthiest people in the history of the planet taking our land and our water and our power
That's right.
and our attention. We're working on something else here. And so the MSPC needs to hear from people because a lot of our elected leaders are in this bubble where they're sort of hearing, okay, this is the future. This is how you stay up to speed. This is inevitable. Classic talking points from titans of industry.
That's right.
It's a utopia sandwich on we're all going to get rich. That's what I It's kind of how we ended up having invasives in the Great Lakes. It's like there was unbridled enthusiasm around creating the St. Lawrence Seaway. And it was like, "Yeah, we're all going to be rich. This is going to be the Mediterranean of North America." And people opted in and they spent hundreds of millions of dollars back then, which equated to hundreds of billions of dollars. And then not long after that, the average size of freighters increased and they couldn't get through the St. Lawrence Seaway. And the ones that had already come through
Yeah.
brought in all these invasives. And now our Great Lakes are filled with quagga mussels. And the titans of industry who led us into this problem are nowhere to be
They're off the
found in
hook.
terms of address.
Yeah, they're
They're off the
totally off
hook.
the hook. Yeah.
Yeah. So, we need to remind the Michigan Public Service Commission of what their job is, and it's public service. They're not the Michigan Oligarch Service
That's
Commission.
right.
And
Yeah.
so they need to hear from the people, and the people need to continue to organize and make this the central issue of the 2026 elections. And I think that worst case scenario is Michigan Public Service Commission colludes with DTE and tries to push this through, and then the people will need to pivot from engaging with a political process that is supposed to be democracy in action and economic democracy. And the local level is really the last battlefield for economic democracy, where people have a say
Yeah.
in the way that the economy is shaped at the local level. And it's very, very clear that people of Saline don't want any part of this, but then they got
That's
sued
right.
by the developer, to push it in, the landowner. And so anyway, people then they need to
All
sort of
trust is
pivot to
lost.
all trust is lost. So then direct action is kind of our
Yeah.
next, that's what we have to resort to. And historically, people will do that. People will do that to protect their
That's right.
livelihoods and their water. And so I think, people also
We
need to
don't like to be pushed
understand
to that point, but when we have to, we have to.
when we have to, we have to. And I think it's important to recognize too that this is a bubble that is cracking and it seems like it's going to burst. These companies are not, AI is not profitable. These companies are deeply in debt. They're sort of passing money around inside the bubble to each other.
Yep.
And they're going in debt because these are high interest loans, and that's part of the rush. And so the rush exposes communities to risks. It doesn't expose the companies to risks.
Yeah.
But if we can
Because they're
delay
gonna
the
make they're gonna
projects,
make their money back no matter what.
yeah. So I think that we don't want to see the worst case scenario. The worst case scenario is that it's successful in extracting trillions of dollars of wealth from the middle class and basically continuing to be a parasite on human culture and human labor, and that we are stuck with an economy that is reliant upon AI
Yeah.
to function at all. And so even in that scenario, people are going to find their way.
Hmm.
And I grew up north where my mom grew organic vegetables, and we would trade produce for fish from a local fisherman, and we found our way. Even though we didn't have a lot of money, we lived off the land and we had community. And people will find their way around these industries, and obviously boycotting and divesting and striking, these things work. Tech workers are ready to strike.
Yeah, they
I
are.
know, I mean, I've got people that are lifelong coders that are now being asked to train their replacements or never get a raise, never advance in their industry again. It's like, okay, I got to show AI how to do my job, or else there's no place for me in this industry. It's unacceptable.
Absolutely unacceptable. And it's yeah, the capitalism throughout it all that exploits workers and always, and
Yeah.
they're just figuring out new horrible ways to do it, right. It's thank you for pointing out being really pointing out the human aspect of it, how it's going to affect everything from our art, our voices, our writings, our words, our stories, and our music, right? How everything that you put on the computer online is already being given to an AI bot to use, to train it to use, and it's simply unacceptable. I absolutely love listening to you sing and play music. And we kind of already talked about how people can get involved. we're going to put links down below for folks to come to the protest and things like that today, and and different links for people to learn more. And if you have some links, please send it to us, and we will put them down below. You want to sing us a song?
I would love to.
Hear it. And
Tell
us about it.
I've been a musician, started writing songs when I was a teenager, and sometimes I get so deep into organizing that I almost forget that I'm a musician. I have songs that are like kind of about all of this stuff. And so this is a
Yeah.
song. When you invited me to play a song, I thought about this one, and I wrote this one as an organizing song, as sort of an anthem. And my friend Bill McKibben at the time, he said, "Hey, we need more anthems for people to organize to." I said, "Okay, I'll take a crack at it." And so I wrote this one back in 2020. It's called "The Time Has Come." And it's always so good to be in your presence, even virtually. I just so appreciate your spirit and your dedication and all the organizing that you and your colleagues at the People's Water Board have done through the years. And it's been such an honor to be inspired by you and to stand with you from Detroit to the Straits of Mackinac at the Water is Life Festival. And I know that we'll be seeing more of each other in the years to come, and hopefully our kids and through the generations, we'll keep organizing, keep building, and keep it heart-centered.
Thank you for that. We're in this together, and I absolutely love, love, love it when we're in space together and I get to hear you sing. This is such a treat. Thank you.
Thank you. The clock is ticking now, and there is no time to wait. We must stand for life on earth against the forces of greed and hate. We never give up, we keep showing up. In love we trust, the earth loves us. The time has come to come together, make a stand like never before. From town to town, city to city, sea to sea, and shore to shore. There are those who are sick with power, sick with selfishness, lost in games of numbers, wasting the gift of this. But times are changing fast, and they cannot stay the same. We must change the laws, change our minds, change the world, and change the game. We never give up, we keep showing up. In love we trust, the earth loves us. The time has come to come together, make a stand like never before. From town to town, city to city, sea to sea, and shore to shore. The time has come to come together, make a stand like never before. From town to town, city to city, sea to sea, and shore to shore.
Yay! What a treat. It made my whole day.
Thank you so much, Valerie.
It's
So good to be with you.
wonderful. Yes, this is so wonderful. You know, I'm feeling emotional. Thank you so much.
Thank you, dear.
Do you any final words that didn't get said before we wrap up the show, Seth? Like anything that you want folks to know?
Free Palestine.
That's right. That's right.
I
Thank
went
you.
to the West Bank back in May for a dear friend's wedding, and I saw the way that AI is actually being deployed as military surveillance there, against the people who are basically hosting pilgrims from around the world to see where baby Jesus was born.
Yeah.
And a mile's walk from that site is the most heavily tear gassed place on earth, and that's a refugee camp where, children have been killed in cold blood for decades. And so our complicity as taxpayers in crimes against humanity is now, complicit with the AI industry, also,
That's right.
weaponizing this technology to be deployed as surveillance on working class people right here in Michigan. And so it's all connected. And so our ability to show up boldly for liberation and is really the pathway to peace and the pathway to solidarity across the world. So thank you for everything you're doing to connect all these dots.
But water connects us with Palestine too.
It does.
That's
Yeah.
right. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Ooh, um, to all of our listeners, times are hard. We have to look out for each other. This was a great show. The show to talk about our humanity and how when we come together, we win. We change the world. Until next time, take care of each other and try to stay afloat. Bye.